Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Liberty and watched the space around his small fleet change in seconds. 3 massive alien ships appeared from nowhere like ghosts becoming solid. They were huge and made of what looked like crystal and metal mixed together. The alien ships hummed with power that made the Liberty sensors go crazy with readings they could not understand. Jake had been exploring this part of space for 2 months with his small fleet of 3 ships. The Liberty was his command ship. The Newton was their science vessel where Dr. Kevin Wright spent his days looking at stars and planets. The Frontier carried all their supplies and spare parts. They were just doing normal exploration work and mapping new star systems when these aliens showed up. The alien ships were beautiful in a scary way. They had smooth curves and sharp edges at the same time. Lights moved under their crystal surfaces, like veins of pure energy. Jake had seen many different alien ships in his 20 years of space travel, but nothing quite like these. The largest ship was over 1 kilometer long and shaped like a massive spear point. The 2 smaller ships flanked it on both sides like guards protecting their leader. Commander Lisa Park looked up from her tactical station with raised eyebrows. She had been monitoring all the communication channels when the aliens first tried to contact them. Her fingers moved quickly over her control panel as she adjusted the translation systems to make sense of the alien language. After a few seconds of strange clicking and buzzing sounds, the ship's computer started turning the alien words into English. The alien voice that came through the speakers was deep and seemed very angry. It spoke with the kind of authority that expected complete obedience from everyone who heard it. The translation was a bit rough, but the message was clear enough. The aliens were demanding that Jake and his fleet surrender immediately. They claimed that the humans had violated some kind of sacred territory that belonged to an empire that had ruled this part of space for 1,000 years. Lisa shook her head as she listened to more of the alien demands. The aliens were threatening to destroy the human ships if they did not surrender within the next 10 minutes. They talked about the terrible weapons they had and how no force in the galaxy could stand against their mighty empire. The alien leader called himself Admiral Kethver, and he sounded like he meant every word of his threats. Chief Engineer Bobby Chun laughed quietly at his station near the back of the bridge. He was monitoring the alien ships with his sensors and reading all the data about their technology. Bobby had been working on human ships for 30 years, and he had seen this kind of situation before. He looked at the alien ship designs and their energy signatures and shook his head with amusement. Bobby turned to Jake and spoke loud enough for the whole bridge crew to hear him. 1,000 years, Captain. That's really cute. These aliens must be pretty new around here if they think 1,000 years makes them old. The other bridge crew members started smiling when they heard Bobby's comment. Navigation Officer Helen Davis pulled up her star charts and started checking the database for any records of this alien empire. Communications Officer Amy Rodriguez was recording everything the aliens said and preparing the standard first contact protocols. Security Chief Ryan Bell was watching the alien weapons, but he did not look worried at all. Jake activated the communication system that connected his ship to the other 2 vessels in his fleet. Dr. Wright's voice came through from the Newton, where he was probably studying the alien technology with great interest. Captain Steve Barnes of the Frontier reported that his ship was ready for anything that might happen. Both ship commanders were waiting for Jake's orders, and neither one sounded concerned about the alien threats. The lead alien ship started charging its weapon systems. Jake could see the energy building up in what looked like massive plasma cannons along the crystal hull. The weapons were clearly designed to destroy large targets, and they had enough power to turn the Liberty into space dust in seconds. Admiral Kethver sent another message demanding immediate surrender and promising swift death to any humans who resisted his empire's authority. Jake looked around his bridge at his crew who had served with him for years. These people had faced dangerous aliens before, and they had always found ways to handle the situation without fighting. Lisa was already preparing defensive measures just in case they needed them. Bobby was studying the alien technology and probably figuring out how it worked. Amy was getting ready to send their response back to the aliens. The alien admiral's voice filled the bridge. Again, as he gave the humans their final warning, he talked about the great Zephyrian Empire and its glorious history of conquest across the stars. He mentioned their advanced weapons and their powerful fleet that could destroy entire solar systems. He said that no species had ever survived challenging Zephyrian authority, and the humans would not be the first. Jake smiled as he listened to Admiral Kethver's speech. He had heard similar speeches from other alien empires over the years, and they always ended the same way. The aliens always thought they were the most powerful force in the galaxy until they learned the truth about humanity's real presence in space. Jake nodded to Amy and told her to open a communication channel back to the alien fleet. The bridge became quiet as Jake prepared to respond to the alien admiral's demands. His crew knew that what happened in the next few minutes would set the tone for everything that followed. Jake had handled first contact situations many times before, and he knew exactly what to say to these new aliens. His response would probably surprise Admiral Kethver and his empire in ways they could never expect. Jake cleared his throat and began speaking in the calm, confident voice that had made him one of humanity's best diplomatic captains. Jake Morrison's voice carried across the empty space between the human and alien fleets with calm confidence that surprised everyone listening. He spoke like a teacher talking to students rather than a military commander facing destruction from superior forces. His words were polite and friendly, but they carried an undertone that suggested the aliens might want to reconsider their current approach to the situation. "Greetings, Admiral Kethver, and welcome to this part of the galaxy," Jake began as he looked at the massive alien warships on his main screen. "I am Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earth Systems and commander of this small exploration fleet. Before you make any decisions that you might regret later, I think we should have a friendly conversation about galactic history and the current political situation in this region of space." The response from Admiral Kethver came back immediately, and the alien leader sounded confused and angry at the same time. His translation came through the ship's communication system with static and electronic noise that made his voice sound even more threatening. The Admiral wanted to know why the humans were not surrendering immediately and why they thought they could negotiate with the mighty Zephyrian Empire. Jake gestured to Dr. Kevin Wright, who was monitoring the conversation from his science station. Kevin had been preparing for this moment since the alien ships first appeared, and he had all the necessary data ready to transmit. His fingers moved quickly over his control panel as he began sending information packets to the alien fleet through their communication channels. The data that Kevin sent contained star charts and historical records that covered thousands of years of human exploration and expansion throughout the galaxy. The information showed the locations of human colonies and research stations and trade routes that stretched across hundreds of star systems. The records included detailed maps of every major star cluster and nebula and asteroid field that humans had explored and cataloged over the past 3 millennia. "You see, Admiral," Jake continued as the alien ships received and processed the human data, "your 1,000-year empire is quite impressive by the standards of most galactic civilizations. However, humans have been exploring and mapping this galaxy for over 3,000 years now. During that time, we have encountered 17 different species that called themselves galactic empires, and most of them became good friends once they understood the real situation." Helen Davis activated her navigation displays and showed the alien fleet the vast network of human activity that covered this entire region of space. The star charts revealed hundreds of human outposts and research facilities and communication relays that had been operating in this area for centuries. Many of these installations were hidden or disguised to avoid interfering with local species development, but they were all connected by an invisible web of human civilization. Dr. Wright took over the explanation as he transmitted more detailed information about human galactic presence. His voice was calm and professional, like a university professor giving a lecture to interested students. He spoke about the various alien empires that humans had encountered over the years and how each one had reacted when they learned the truth about humanity's role in galactic affairs. "The Altarian hegemony lasted for over 2,000 years, Kevin explained as he showed the aliens' historical records and timeline data. They controlled 40 star systems and considered themselves the dominant power in their region of space. They were quite surprised to discover that human research stations had been quietly operating in 38 of their systems for over 800 years without their knowledge. The alien admiral's fleet remained in position with their weapons, still charged, but they were no longer actively targeting the human ships. Jake could imagine the frantic discussions that were probably taking place aboard the Zephyrian vessels, as their leaders tried to process this unexpected information. The aliens had clearly expected to intimidate a small group of primitive explorers, but instead they were learning that they had encountered representatives of a much larger and older civilization. Kevin continued his impromptu history lesson as he transmitted more records about human encounters with other galactic empires. He told the aliens about the stellar dominion of Vega, which had claimed sovereignty over dozens of star systems, before discovering that human traders and diplomats had been working with the local populations for generations. He mentioned the Crimson Fleet, which had terrorized several sectors, until they learned that human peacekeeping forces had been quietly protecting the same regions for centuries. The interesting pattern, Admiral, Jake added as he watched the alien. Ships process the information. Is that most of these encounters end with mutual cooperation and benefit for all parties involved. The galaxy is a big place with plenty of room for everyone, and humans have learned that working together is much more profitable and enjoyable than fighting over territory and resources. Amy Rodriguez monitored the alien communications as Admiral Kethver discussed the situation with his fleet commanders. The alien leader was clearly struggling to understand how humans could have been present in this region for so long without the Zephyrian Empire knowing about it. His voice carried notes of confusion and concern as he asked his subordinates to verify the human claims and check their own historical records. Bobby Chun reported from his engineering station that the alien ships were running deep scans of the surrounding space and probably discovering the subtle signs of human presence that their initial surveys had missed. Hidden communication relays and automated sensor networks and camouflaged research outposts were becoming visible as the aliens learned what to look for in the human data. The most shocking revelation came when Helen Davis showed the aliens the official boundaries of human territory in this part of the galaxy. The Zephyrian Empire had unknowingly built their entire civilization in what humans casually referred to as the local neighborhood. Their most important systems and trade routes and military bases were all located within areas that humans had been monitoring and managing for hundreds of years. So Admiral Kethver, Jake concluded as he gave the alien leader time to absorb all the information they had received. We can certainly discuss this situation like civilized beings who want to find mutually beneficial solutions. Or if you prefer, we can add your empire to our historical records as another cautionary tale about the dangers of making assumptions about who really controls what territory in this galaxy. The choice, as they say, is entirely yours to make. Admiral Kethver agreed to meet face-to-face with the human representatives after spending 2 hours discussing the situation with his fleet commanders. The alien leader was clearly uncomfortable with what he had learned about human presence in his empire's territory, but he was smart enough to realize that more information was needed before making any major decisions. His shuttle approached the Liberty with a full honor guard of Zephyrian warriors who were prepared for anything that might happen during the negotiations. The alien admiral was impressive to look at when he materialized in the Liberty's main conference room. He stood nearly 3 meters tall with an insectoid body covered in chitinous plates that gleamed like polished metal. His forearms ended in delicate hands that could probably crush steel with ease. His compound eyes reflected the room's lights like jewels, and his mandibles clicked softly as he spoke through his translation device. Jake Morrison greeted the alien leader with the standard diplomatic protocols that humans used for first contact situations. Dr. Kevin Wright had prepared what the crew called the full tour, which was designed to help alien civilizations understand humanity's actual role in galactic affairs. The presentation usually took several hours and covered thousands of years of human history and expansion throughout the known galaxy. The ship's artificial intelligence system activated holographic displays that filled the conference room with 3-dimensional maps and charts and historical records. Chief Information Officer Danny Foster provided the narration as the AI began showing the Admiral the complete scope of human civilization across the galaxy. Star system after star system lit up in the display showing dates of first human contact and establishment of research outposts and peaceful treaties with hundreds of different alien species. Admiral Kethver stared at the holographic displays with what humans would recognize as growing amazement and concern. His compound eyes tracked the movement of data as thousands of human installations and colonies and trading posts appeared on the galactic map. The sheer scale of human presence was overwhelming even for someone who commanded a fleet of powerful warships and controlled dozens of star systems. "This is completely impossible," the Admiral chittered through his translator as he watched more and more human settlements appear on the displays. "Our long-range scouts and survey teams have been exploring this region for centuries," they reported. That most of these star systems were uninhabited or contained only primitive species that posed no threat to our expansion plans. Commander Lisa Parks smiled politely as she activated another set of holographic displays that showed the subtle difference between human definitions of inhabited and uninhabited space. She explained that humans tended to maintain a very light footprint in most star systems to avoid interfering with local species development or creating unnecessary conflicts with other galactic civilizations. "Define uninhabited, Admiral," Lisa said as she highlighted dozens of star systems that the Zephyrians had classified as empty space. "If you mean no major population centers or military installations or industrial complexes, then you would be absolutely correct. Humans prefer to keep our presence discreet and non-intrusive unless there are specific reasons to do otherwise." Security. Chief Ryan Bell activated tactical displays that revealed the extensive network of sensor arrays and communication relays and automated defense platforms that humanity had deployed throughout this region over many centuries. What the Zephyrian scouts had interpreted as empty space was actually a thoroughly monitored and carefully managed area under human influence and protection. The displays showed how human technology was designed to be almost invisible to conventional scanning methods. Research stations looked like asteroids or debris fields. Communication relays were disguised as natural phenomena. Defense platforms remained dormant until activated by specific threat conditions. The entire human infrastructure was hidden in plain sight using advanced stealth technology and clever camouflage techniques. Dr. Wright activated another series of displays that tracked the Zephyrian Empire's expansion route over the past several centuries. The data showed how alien colony ships and military fleets had followed paths that avoided the most sensitive human research areas while still allowing them to establish their civilization in stable regions of space. "You have actually been quite helpful to our operations, Admiral," Kevin noted as he highlighted several star systems where Zephyrian governance had brought stability to regions that had previously been controlled by various warlords and pirates. "Your empire's expansion has created peaceful conditions in areas where we had important research projects and scientific installations." The most shocking revelation came when the displays showed that humans had been quietly observing and occasionally influencing Zephyrian expansion for over 3 centuries. Human diplomatic agents had worked behind the scenes to guide the Empire away from areas where their presence would create problems, while encouraging them to establish colonies in regions that would benefit from stable government and organized development. Chief Medical Officer Patricia Lewis presented Admiral Kethver with what humans called the Standard Welcome Package. The data compilation included detailed galactic history from humanity's perspective along with trade agreements and cultural exchange protocols and scientific cooperation treaties that had been developed over thousands of years of contact with alien civilizations. The package also contained economic data showing how Zephyrian trade had already been integrated into the broader human commercial network without the aliens realizing they were dealing with human intermediaries. Many of their most profitable trading relationships and resource extraction agreements and shipping contracts were actually managed through human companies and organizations. "The truly amusing part of this situation," Admiral Jake added as he watched the alien leader process the implications of everything he had learned, Is that you are not even the first Zephyrian we have encountered? Your exploratory fleet visited the Proxima research station about 10 years ago, and we had several very pleasant conversations with your people about agricultural techniques and terraforming methods. Admiral Kethver's mandibles clicked rapidly, as he realized that his empire's first contact with humanity had actually happened years earlier without any of his government officials knowing about it. The aliens who had visited the human research station had apparently filed routine exploration reports without recognizing the significance of what they had discovered. The conference room became quiet as the alien admiral absorbed the full scope of what he had learned about human civilization and their role in galactic affairs. His forearms gestured at the holographic displays as he tried to understand how his mighty empire fit into this much larger picture of interstellar politics and commerce and cooperation. Jake Morrison decided that Admiral Kethver was ready to see the complete truth about human civilization and its role in galactic affairs. The alien leader had absorbed the initial revelations about human presence in his empire's territory, but he still did not understand the full scope of humanity's influence throughout the known galaxy. Jake invited the Zephyrian delegation to follow him to the Liberty's main observation deck where the real scale of human activity would become visible. The observation deck was the largest open space on the Liberty with transparent aluminum windows that provided a clear view of the surrounding star system. Chief Astronomer Carol Turner had prepared the long-range sensors to reveal the vast network of human installations and vessels that were normally invisible to conventional detection methods. Her equipment could penetrate most stealth technologies and show the true level of activity in any given region of space. Admiral Kethver and his honor guard followed Jake through the ship's corridors while Dr. Wright continued explaining humanity's philosophy of galactic expansion and development. The alien leader's compound eyes reflected the ship's lighting as he listened to descriptions of human colonies that numbered in the millions and trading networks that spanned thousands of star systems across the galaxy. Carol activated the observation deck's advanced sensor systems, and the space around them suddenly came alive with activity that had been completely invisible just moments before. Massive cargo vessels that looked like small moons drifted past in the distance, carrying resources and manufactured goods between human colonies and allied civilizations. Generation ships the size of cities moved slowly along established routes as they transported settlers to newly discovered worlds. We learned very early in our expansion, Admiral, that aggressive conquest and territorial dominance tend to create unnecessary conflicts and instability. Jake explained as they watched the steady flow of human traffic through the star system. It is much more efficient and profitable to simply be everywhere quietly and let other species develop their own civilizations within our sphere of influence. The Zephyrian Admiral's forearms gestured at the incredible display of human activity that filled the space around them. Transport ships and research vessels and diplomatic craft moved in carefully coordinated patterns that showed thousands of years of experience in managing galactic commerce and communication. The aliens had been completely unaware that they were surrounded by this level of human presence and organization. Lieutenant Commander Greg Baker joined the group on the observation deck to provide intelligence analysis of the current political situation. His specialty was understanding how different alien civilizations fit into the broader framework of human galactic policy, and he had extensive knowledge of the Zephyrian Empire's internal politics and economic structures. Greg activated portable displays that showed how Zephyrian trade and commerce had already become integrated into the larger human economic system. The Empire's most important trading relationships and resource extraction operations and shipping contracts were managed through a complex network of human intermediaries and allied species that the Zephyrians had never recognized as part of a coordinated system. Your empire sits at the intersection of 7 major human trade routes, Admiral, Greg explained as he highlighted the commercial pathways that crossed through Zephyrian territory. The fact that you have managed to build a stable and prosperous government in this location is actually quite impressive, since most species struggle to handle the level of traffic and activity that passes through this region. The displays showed how Zephyrian mining operations in the Kepler sector were actually subcontracted through a human consortium that had been operating in those systems for over 800 years. The aliens thought they had discovered valuable mineral deposits and negotiated exclusive extraction rights, but they were actually working as junior partners in a much larger human commercial enterprise. Dr. Wright pulled up economic data that revealed the true scope of how alien civilizations unknowingly participated in human galactic commerce. Trade agreements that species thought were bilateral, arrangements between their governments and other alien nations, were actually managed through human diplomatic and commercial organizations that maintained stability and prevented conflicts between different civilizations. The interesting aspect of this system, Admiral Kevin noted as he showed graphs and charts of interstellar trade volumes and resource flows, is that most species benefit significantly from participation, even when they do not realize they are part of a larger human-managed network. Economic growth and technological development and political stability all improve when civilizations become integrated into our galactic community. Admiral Kethver watched the data displays with growing amazement as he realized that his empire's recent prosperity and expansion were not entirely due to Zephyrian achievements. Human influence had been subtly guiding and supporting their development for generations, while making sure they did not come into conflict with other species or threaten important human research projects and commercial interests. Carol Turner's sensors detected incoming vessels at the edge of the star system, and she reported that 17 Zephyrian ships were requesting permission to dock with the human fleet. The alien vessels were apparently filled with government officials and trade representatives and military commanders who wanted to discuss infrastructure improvements and economic cooperation agreements with their new human contacts, the alien. Admiral's mandibles clicked with what humans would recognize as embarrassment and amusement as he realized that his subordinates were already moving to establish formal relationships with humanity. His empire's practical leaders had quickly understood that cooperation with the humans would be much more beneficial than continued independence or potential conflict. The question now, Admiral Kethver, Jake said as he watched more Zephyrian vessels approach the human fleet, is whether your empire wants to continue operating as an independent civilization within our sphere of influence, or, if you would prefer, a more formal arrangement with official recognition and support from human galactic authorities. Most species find that the latter option provides better access to advanced technologies and expanded trade opportunities. Engineer Bobby Chin's voice came through the ship's communication system to report that Zephyrian technical teams were already requesting detailed information about human propulsion systems and energy generation methods and manufacturing techniques. The alien engineers were clearly excited about the possibility of upgrading their technology with human assistance and guidance. The observation deck became quiet as Admiral Kethver considered his options while watching the incredible display of human galactic civilization that surrounded his small fleet. His empire could continue to operate independently, but they would always be minor players in a galaxy dominated by human influence and organization. Or they could join the vast community of species that work together under human guidance to create prosperity and stability throughout the known galaxy. 6 months after the first encounter between human and Zephyrian forces, Captain Jake Morrison found himself returning to the same region of space, but the entire situation had transformed beyond recognition. The former Zephyrian Empire had become the Zephyrian Trade Federation, and their military vessels now served as escorts for the massive human cargo convoys that moved through their territory carrying goods and resources to dozens of different star systems. The space around the former battle zone was now filled with construction activity as human engineering teams worked alongside Zephyrian technicians to build the first joint research facility in the system. The project would study the unique gravitational properties of the local star cluster, while serving as a cultural exchange center where different species could learn from each other and develop new technologies through cooperative research programs. Admiral Kethver had adapted to the new situation with remarkable enthusiasm and effectiveness. His former flagship had been converted into a mobile trade station that facilitated commerce between dozens of alien species across the entire sector. The massive warship now bristled with communication, arrays and docking ports and cargo handling equipment instead of the plasma weapons that had once threatened human vessels. The alien leader now carried the official title of Regional Commerce Coordinator, and he seemed to enjoy his new role much more than his previous position as a military commander. His reports to human galactic authorities showed impressive growth in interstellar trade volumes and successful diplomatic initiatives that had prevented several potential conflicts between different alien civilizations in the region. Commander Lisa Park reviewed the latest status reports from Zephyrian territory as the Liberty approached the new joint research facility. Trade volumes had increased by over 300% since the Federation joined the Human Commercial Network. Several previously hostile species had signed peace agreements after Zetherian diplomatic teams helped negotiate settlements to their territorial disputes. Chief Engineer Bobby Chun was particularly excited about the technological cooperation that had developed between human and Zephyrian engineering teams. The aliens had some fascinating gravitational manipulation technology that could significantly improve human jump drive efficiency. In exchange, humans were sharing advanced manufacturing techniques and energy generation methods that would help the Federation expand their industrial capabilities. The Zephyrians have integrated their gravitational field generators with our quantum drive systems, Captain Bobby reported from his engineering station as he monitored the technical cooperation projects. Initial tests show we could improve our jump drive efficiency by over 30% while reducing power consumption and mechanical stress on the ship's hull and structural systems. Dr. Kevin Wright was coordinating the scientific research projects at the new joint facility, and his reports showed remarkable progress in several different fields of study. Zephyrian scientists had unique insights into stellar formation processes, while human researchers contributed advanced sensor technology and data analysis methods. The combination was producing discoveries that neither species could have achieved working alone. The bridge crew watched through the main view screen as Zephyrian construction ships worked in perfect coordination with human engineering vessels to complete the research station. The facility was designed using both human and alien architectural principles, and it would serve as a model for similar cooperation projects throughout this region of the galaxy. Helen Davis reported that traffic control in the system was now managed by a joint human and Zephyrian operations center that coordinated the movement of hundreds of vessels every day. The former military zone had become one of the busiest commercial hubs in the sector, with species from dozens of different civilizations coming to trade goods and services and information. Amy Rodriguez monitored communications from Admiral Kethver, who was currently negotiating with representatives from 3 adjacent sectors about establishing similar trade federations in their regions. The former military commander had discovered that cooperation and commerce were much more profitable and satisfying than conquest and territorial expansion. "You know, Captain," Lisa observed as she watched the bustling activity around the research station, "I think the Admiral actually prefers this new arrangement to the whole Galactic Empire approach. He seems much happier now that he is building things instead of threatening to destroy them." Jake nodded as he read through Admiral Kethva's latest progress reports, which included requests for permission to expand Federation operations into neighboring star systems. The former alien warlord was becoming one of humanity's most effective regional administrators, and his success was attracting attention from other species who wanted similar cooperation agreements. Dr. Wright looked up from his archaeological survey data to comment on the broader implications of what had happened with the Zephyrian Empire. His research into human galactic history showed that this pattern had repeated itself hundreds of times over the past several millennia as humanity encountered aggressive civilizations and gradually converted them into cooperative partners. The fascinating aspect of this whole process, Kevin noted, is that humanity has never actually conquered anyone or declared themselves rulers of any territory or demanded submission from alien species. Instead, we have simply been present and patient and helpful until other civilizations choose to join our expanding network of mutual cooperation and benefit. Security Chief Rem Bell reported that crime rates in Zephyrian territory had dropped to almost zero since the Federation joined the human community. The combination of increased prosperity and better education and expanded opportunities for advancement had eliminated most of the social problems that had previously troubled the alien civilization. The Liberty prepared to continue its exploration mission to a distant star system where human sensors had detected another emerging galactic empire that was beginning its expansion phase. Somewhere in the ship's navigation computer, Chief Astronomer Carol Turner was already preparing the standard first contact information package and scheduling another impromptu history lesson for the new aliens. The final communication from Admiral Kethver arrived as the human fleet entered hyperspace to begin their next mission. The former military leader expressed gratitude for humanity's patience and guidance in showing his people that there were better alternatives to endless conquest and territorial expansion. He noted that the galaxy was much more interesting and rewarding when species worked together instead of fighting over resources and political dominance. Jake smiled as he gave the order to jump to their next destination, where another alien civilization was about to learn the same lessons that the Zephyrians had discovered. The galaxy was indeed a very big place with room for everyone to prosper, and humanity had learned long ago that cooperation and mutual benefit were much more effective than military force for building lasting peace and stability among the stars.